I have a chance to food prep some lunch today, and this is going to be the lunch that's going to last my wife and I until probably Saturday. Today is Wednesday. I'm making a Turkish red lentil soup, which has become a staple favorite soup of ours. And while I was cooking, the idea I had for today's video was the following. Yesterday I had a busy day on my end with work. I work remotely at night on American time, the standard 9 to 5 American hours, but here where I live in Tbilisi, Georgia, the eastern side of Europe, that time now coincides with the evening. So I was just recalling the difference in state that I am feeling today as I'm making my lunch for myself and for my wife over the next coming days, while she also has some remote work. And I'm just recalling yesterday I made some fish with some broccoli and green beans, and the state of which I was rushing in during that process last night made the cooking honestly not even fun, not even pleasant. It wasn't relaxing. It just became one extra thing I have to do. And I've been cooking since I've been 16. Really thanks to my dad, who particularly was the cook at our home, and I'm following in his footsteps now. While my wife is at work and I have the morning off, or the first part of the day off, I do the cooking. So when my wife comes home from work and from her regular 9 to 5 normal schedule here, the food's already on the table when she comes home. And if the shoes were reversed, that's what I would expect as well. When I come through the door, she doesn't ask me that I need to do the dishes or cook anything. The food is already done. If the shoe were on the other foot, she would have been at home the whole day, and I just put myself in that shoes. Like, I would be upset if I came home and their food wasn't already done or not in the process of being done. So, holding myself to the standard that I do, I make sure that during this time I do the cooking, and it's not emasculating. It's a privilege. I love to cook. I wouldn't say I'm a chef, but I'm a good home cook, very good home cook. And I'm just enjoying the process today in a way I didn't yesterday, when all I had on my mind yesterday was cook this, get it done, get it on the table. And honestly, just looking back to that, I regret that I had let myself go into this state for the cooking that I was planning on doing. And the point I'm trying to remind myself, and maybe make sense to anyone who's watching, is if you're gonna do anything, do it right, and maybe not do it slow, but take your time and at least try to enjoy the process. Where are we with this soup? So the red lentil soup consists of carrots, potato, tomato, chicken stock, which I already had pre-made, and now I'm just letting it come up to a boil, so we have some time to talk. Perfect. Add the tomato paste and toss the cooked vegetables, and then add the broth, some of the red pepper, and the rest of the seasonings. So I'm just really enjoying the process of being here in the kitchen, having the privilege to be home at the time here in Tbilisi, Georgia is 1:30 p.m. 1:30 p.m. in the afternoon. American time is 9 hours behind. You know what? I'm really not in the mood for math right now, so you tell me what it is. Leave it in the comment. But it's really, for the first time, honestly, in a while since yesterday, I realized that I was taking care of cooking something I normally love in a rushed, unpleasant fashion. And I look back and I regret that I did it like that, because truthfully, these things in life, I have the privilege to be at home at 1:30 in the afternoon, knowing that I have my full-time job lined up ahead of me for the evening. There's no lack of that. And just to make this time productive and to make this time relaxing as well. Yes, this is the cooking and the foods are the things that we have to get done on a day-to-day basis, but I'm honestly ashamed of myself that yesterday the only thing I wanted to get done was just throw something on the plate and get it in front of us and eat it and just be over with it. That's not the purpose of cooking. In fact, if that was going to be the case, if my time was so stressed, I could have ordered out, but that wasn't the case. Here, I'm just going to rinse these red lentils, and I'm adding a little bit of split pea, just for an additional bit of thickness to the soup, but that's just a part of it. Let it drain. And then when the soup comes to a boil, which it still is, I can add these red lentils into the soup and just let it continue to cook. So I just remember looking back when, just learning how to cook, and I look forward to the days where I can teach my own kids how to cook and impart that lesson of doing something in a timely manner is great, and it's very important, and it's something that we need to do on a day-to-day basis, but not rushing. It's nothing profound. Is anybody saying anything profound these days? I don't really think so. A lot of old truths are just becoming more and more relevant to more forward thinking, and not even forward thinking. The farther that this humankind goes with it, all these technologies and situations in the world, so many of the old time knowledge, all the ancient knowledge, and not even ancient, but just knowledge from a simpler time. This knowledge from a simpler time has just seemed to be, it's just gotten so lost. And when you hear someone just talking about, slow down, take it easy. What's the task is going to take the same amount of task whether you speed through it or you rush to chop something or you are rushing the soup. It really doesn't matter. I say the same thing in terms of when driving. What if you're late? The worst thing that you can do is speed to wherever you need to go in the car and save microscopic amounts of time. Just maybe even 5 minutes if you're 45 minutes late and you drive 80 instead of 65. Again, do the math and you tell me in the comments. What's the difference? It really isn't a difference, but the risk that you run of creating a problem or missing a detail that ultimately creates a huge issue is a factor of 10x, I'm here doing this soup, and this soup requires some cutting. Gotta cut the potato, gotta cut the onion, gotta cut the carrot, gotta cut whatever. And I've never cut myself while I wasn't rushing. I've been cooking for 16 years, at least. Obviously as a home cook, not professionally, though I think I could do it. But honestly, I wouldn't even want to do it. In that professional environment of cooking, yes, there's an efficiency thing, and there's a pressure where you really do need to rush, and I don't want to be in that environment. Yes, I agree, a pressure to perform at a certain speed is something, but and there's that has its place in time, but just taking a slow project. And again, I'm saying the wrong words. I'm struggling to pick the words because it's not taking it slow, but just taking it at the proper pace. Taking this at the proper pace. Okay, now my soup is at a rolling boil, and I'm going to turn it down to a simmer. Gas stoves are the absolute best. When I was living in Budapest from 2022 to 2024, I had an electric stove, and I made it work and it was fine, but I really just love gas. Okay. The rest of the spices, I will add spices as at the end to taste, but add the lentils and stir. So I'm really trying to think about the goal of how to document my life on the YouTube channel, and at this point, if you would have asked me 2 years ago or 2 months ago, what's the goal of your YouTube channel? What's the goal of your YouTube channel? I would have said, oh, to grow the YouTube channels, to gain viewers. But at this point, let me just document my life. Let me just document my life, and so that when I look at this in my future self, I can look back. I'm like, hey, you know what? I had a good idea at that time. I'm glad I can look at this 80 years down the line or 80 years down the line, and be proud of who I am and what I'm doing and what I'm talking, and just remember those days where, because at this point, living abroad, in a different country, an American living abroad in Eastern Europe, I applied to several jobs here, and whether I got something, maybe that was I'm sorry, I applied to hundreds of jobs here, and a lot of remote work as well, and got nothing, but fortunately found my place with the old connection that I had, and I'm having a great time. And yeah, there's a part of me that thinks, oh my gosh, I have all evening to work a fixed job. Let me find a way to make more money and grow my skills even more during the first part of my day. Like I said, in Eastern Europe, I'm getting the 9 a.m. in the U.S. is about 6 p.m. here. So I have all day until that point. And I'm sure when the day comes where I'm working more than full-time, when I'm trying to grow a business, when I am raising a family, I'm going to look back to those days like exactly right now. Be like, remember when I was just making lunch for the next few days ahead of time? And I also working on a beet salad just to have for a different time. Remember when that was my only concern from the morning, and then I was working the evening and it would be fine, and all I wanted to do was be a good husband that had food ready, so when my wife came from her demanding day, I had everything done just the way I would have expect if the roles were reversed. And I'm really thankful that I have the desire and the willingness and the experience and the teacher, my dad particularly, who introduced cooking to me and created this into a really a love and a passion. There's so many lessons to be learned through here, and I really want this YouTube channel to reflect me and my journey from good to great. So if we made it this far into the video, I really appreciate it. And this is the content that I want to share now. I don't care about sitting in front of a microphone and having the guests at this point. I'm here by myself. I had something on my mind. What could be better with that? All right, that being said, have a great day. Take care. I'm Ferenc Kuhn.